Mouthwashing is a game that came out earlier this year, around the end of September, and was praised for being a very good psychological horror game. And that's all I had known about this game going into it. And to put it mildly, I was not ready for what I was about to play. However, with only 18 achievements to obtain and overall a short completion time around 2 to 3 hours, can't be that bad. Let's begin Mouthwashing. At the start of the game, you are told you are part of the crew of the Templar, a long-haul space freighter owned by the company Pony Express. You are also a little over a third of your overall planned shipment duration. And then the words, "I hope this hurts," shows up. Which, I did not like the game telling me that straight off the bat. I hope this hurts. Actually, no, Scratch, I do not hope this hurts. However, here I also got my first achievement called I Hope This Hurts for starting the game Mouthwashing. The game then opens up to 0 days before the crash, which is very ominous to say the least. You are playing as of right now an unknown crewmate who, for some reason or another, decides to turn the ship straight towards an upcoming asteroid. Thankfully, our pilot returns on and starts turning us towards safety. However, our character isn't done yet, and we start looking for the override key. Now I start thinking about maybe some positive reasons we are doing this. Like, positive thoughts. Maybe there's a good reason we're doing this, right? Zombie outbreak. Ship is affected, right? I'm sacrificing myself. I'm the hero. In the middle of our search on the locker, we find the override key, and we also find an employee card for someone named Anya, which triggers our second achievement. Throughout the game, we have to keep an eye out for these 5 employee cards, each belonging to one of the 5 crewmates on the ship. And so that's 1 down. Unfortunately, we then of course turn off the autopilot, ensuring us to hit the asteroid, and we walk away. Going through some corridors of the ship that just keep going and going, and did not scare me at all. Sir, yes sir, that happens. Oh. Hi, Polly. I gotta go. You have a good one, though. During this segment, we also run into Polly, the ship's mascot, a few times. Until finally... He's right behind me, isn't he? Yep. A time skip happens, and we are now 2 months after the initial crash. Here, though, we get to meet most of the rest of the crew. Swansea, the mechanic on board, Daisuke, who is more or less Swansea's intern, Anya, who is the ship's nurse, and Jimmy, the character you're playing, who is also the co-pilot. At the table, you guys are discussing if you should open the cargo hold and see if the stuff you are carrying can help you survive. Swansea is against this adverse because it could mean not getting paid, but shortly gets in. The only problem is getting inside requires a code scanner, which only the captain has access to. So naturally, you will point yourself as captain and go on a hunt to find the scanner yourself. While searching the ship, we stumble upon Curly, the actual captain of the ship, and he seems to have been injured a lot during the collision. Anya is also there. Anya asks you to give Curly his painkillers since she can't really handle the sounds. So, after some rude remarks to Anya, Jimmy gives Curly some painkillers. You didn't make it through nursing school, right? Jimmy, what the fuck? Whoa, calm down. Pony Express sure does know how to cut corners if nothing else. Alright, Jimmy, we're gonna chill. We're gonna chill. Okay, I get living in these little tents, okay, but like, you need to chill. You need to calm down. Hold still, yeah? I don't like this any more than you do. How bad is this gonna be? Oh. Oh, damn, we're being a little forceful, aren't we? It ain't that bad. And goes and talks to Anya again, who is wondering why Curly did it. Jimmy responds with, "Does it matter?" Which then Anya hits us with this line. "I have to believe that our worst moments don't make us monsters, Jim. I have to, even in his case." Damn. This comes back later. Moving on, we find Swansea standing in front of the utility room. He states the whole room is filled with foam, and he's not letting anyone in because one wrong move could open it up and end them all. He's for sure hiding something, but we don't care when we continue on. In the cockpit, we find the code scanner and a random 3-digit code. Take 739. Write that down, that's the point. 739. We head down to the cargo door and find the actual code next to the door. We put it in and open it up. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hi, everyone. We are then jumping back in time to 7 days before the crash. We are now playing as Curly, the captain. We just got done talking to Anya, who finished our psych eval. She seems uncomfortable when talking about doing Jimmy's psych eval, so we offer to do it for her. She then tells us Swansea made a note for us, and so we should go check on him. Down in the utility room, however, we find Daisuke waist deep in foam, and since we are the captain, we're the only one able to get the fire axe to help get him out. It seems like the inside of the vent is messed up, and Daisuke was trying to fix it before accidentally setting off the emergency phone. We get the axe and break Daisuke free, and then head back to Swansea for him to clean the rest of it up. Then onwards to give Jimmy his psych eval, which is slightly interrupted by some very long hallways and stairways, followed by a deep drop in the Red Sea, where eventually warning signs and a broken ladder start racing from the ground. Before the sun comes up and then a blinding white space before finally a door appears. And through it, we are back in the cockpit. Curly then gives Jimmy his psych eval and afterwards asks him how he's doing. Jimmy responds that he likes being in control but feels like Curly is getting all the praise since he's the captain. Curly then goes on and says he feels like this career isn't his true calling, and that he was wondering if he should go and do other things, or as Jimmy puts it, he's reached the highest rung of the ladder, and now afraid that he's on the wrong ladder altogether. The conversation is interrupted by a message from corporate, so Jimmy walks out so Curly can read it. We are then put in the middle of what seems to be a cargo hold, with many shelves and boxes all around us. The words "take responsibility" flashing in the middle of our screen for a moment, and after a little walking around, a TV can be seen in the distance. However, me being nosy, accidentally found this. Oh, hi Curly. I was talking about you, buddy. Jesus, fuck, okay. Which is our third achievement, friendly introduction. Finally, sitting at the TV and changing through the channels, show us an ad for mouthwash called Dragon Breath X Mouthwash. Ooh. Dragon Breath presents... which then brings us back to 2 months after the crash, with the crew opening shipments to find it has just been mouthwash this whole time. The whole year of travel was just for mouthwash, which safe to say the crew does not take very well. Swansea starts drinking it, and even trying to get Daisuke to join him. Anya states that the amount of sugar in it stops it from even being a disinfectant, and also has a slight breakdown. And back to 6 days before the crash. Playing once again as Curly, who states he has to tell the crew about the news from corporate that he got the day before. As he goes to do that, he gets surprised by the rest of the crew. Turns out the crew only gets one communal birthday per trip, and since only one person can be surprised birthdayed per trip, it turns out to be Curly's turn. However, the captain is the only one with clearance to make the cake, so off we go making a cake via the cookbook in the kitchen, which actually only has 2 recipes in it, 1 for the cake, and 2 for a mocktail. Assuming the news is that most of the crew is most likely being fired, I decide to make the mocktail as well in hopes it will lighten the mood. We take the codes from the cookbook and put them in this dispenser, which gives us the ingredients for the cake and cocktail. We mix it together by putting the ingredients in this little combiner thing, which, funny enough, actually gives us a fourth achievement, Wasteful, for when we make the mocktail. Then we move on and make the cake and head to the table. At the table, we decide to ruin everyone's mood by giving them the bad news. Pony Express seems to be shutting down. At the very least, this is their last job. The crew obviously doesn't take this news very well. Jimmy taking it the worst and starts just going off at Curly. We wake up to the sounds of Curly moaning in pain. Before checking on him, we walk near the couch and find Dasuke's employee card, which triggers another achievement. Then onto medical where Curly is. Unsure if he's been giving his medicine or not, we are then off to find Anya, who turns out to be talking to Swansea at the cockpit in private, though we are not sure about what. She has not given Curly his painkillers yet, so back up we go to give it to him. Obviously upset and paranoid about Anya and Swansea talking about him, it seems we're giving Curly his medicine extra painful today, which is evident by these noises. After that horrible time, we are then once again shown the flashing words, "Take responsibility." And we have another, what seems to be a dream sequence, with Curly sitting at the table with a cake in front of him. We think of nothing of this and talk to Curly. He tells us sometimes life's about eating mediocre cake with a friend. And we must find a knife to cut the cake. Looking around, we end up finding this knife in question turns out to be a fire axe. When picking it up, the words "feast" appears on screen, which cannot be good. And upon returning to Curly, we find this. Okay, her just his eyeball again. Oh, fuck. Alright, at least I give you a leg or something, so I'm not murdering you. We are now 4 months after the crash, and are tasked with checking up on the crew. We found Dasuke laying on the ground and has obviously drank too much mouthwash. After a moment, talking about his life, he gives up his bottle saying he doesn't want to see the stuff anymore. We pick this up and try to drink it ourselves, which gives us the achievement, the name of the game, for trying to drink the mouthwash. We then check in on Anya, who is also thinking about drinking some mouthwash. She also tells us there's some extra medicine in the hallway to medical. However, it's been foamed up, and she thinks it's now maybe worth the risk now to try to get it. That means we now have to get the axe from Swansea, who's been carrying it around all game. Swansea is very drunk off mouthwash at this point, and we talk to him for a moment before he agrees to give us the axe, which first he then slams into the screen behind him. After taking the axe, we notice Swansea's employee card sticking out of the vending machine and get the achievement, Swansea. Now, to deal with the foam, we just slam our axe into it a few times and that works. We then open it up and take the alcohol and a bottle of painkillers from the case, before getting jump scared by Anya, who kind of congrats us on doing it and then asks us again to help Curly. Which, of course, for some reason wants us to go off about doing the fucking bare minimum and yell at poor Anya before giving Curly his medicine anyways. It's find the code scanner, then figure out the door code, get the axe, chop up the foam, but not too much, and best of all, give Curly, Jesus Christ, and I'm bearing it, I have to. Because the captain has to take fucking responsibility. My man. Anya, don't even say sorry. Jesus, alright, sorry, I can't. I can't with this guy. He is not taking responsibility one day in his fucking life. Oh god. This guy's really upsetting me. I hate playing as Jimmy right now. We then tell Curly Anya's line from earlier. Our worst moments don't make us monsters. Before telling him that Curly would become a great captain once again and says he's going to get them both through this. He then gives him the medicine, which this time seems at least a bit less forceful than the last time. And we have skipped further in time to 6 hours until Judgment. We are still playing as Jimmy, and this time it starts with us in the cockpit. We lock the door. We hear Swansea outside slamming on the door, screaming at us to let him in, and that we cannot hide. We quickly tie ropes around the door and block it with the metal pipe. This does not stop Swansea, who ends up just smashing the glass of the window, and he also tries to put his hand through to open the door. It's also take good note here that we have an unknown item in our inventory that is just a ball of static, with little words, "My hands won't stop shaking." Thankfully, we are then once again playing as Curly 2 days before the crash, sitting on the couch with Anya. It seems to be nighttime and everyone else is sleeping. Curly asks Anya if she's having trouble sleeping as well. They talk a bit back and forth for a few about the nighttime screen before Anya asks this. Hey, why do you think Pony Express puts a lock on the medical room door but not in the sleeping quarters? Anya? Anya, sweetie, what are you, what are you asking there, buddy? Jimmy did not, right? Like, alright. Maybe my mind's just going here, but I just keep thinking Jimmy's an asshole and all this other shit. But, like, that question is suggesting something. And poor, sweet, innocent Curly responds with safety. And I say sweet, innocent Curly here because he fucking better not have understood what she was suggesting and just ignored it. But I swear me and Curly are about to have hands. Anyways, we are once again playing as Jimmy, and it's now 6 months after the crash. Daisuke comes to us and informs us that Anya is stuck in the medical room. But once we get there and talk to her, it turns out she's not stuck, and in fact, she locked herself in there. Still breaking down at every little hardship. Open the damn door. You were right. You were right all along. I should have done this from the beginning. I always believed that our worst moments didn't define us, didn't make us beyond repair. You think I wanted this either? No. Make no mistake, this isn't my worst moment. Far from it. It's the best decision I'll ever make. Open the door. I'll take care of it. Jimmy, thinking she's going to do something to Curly, asks Daisuke, is there any other way inside the medical room? It turns out there's a vent in the utility room that leads up to it. The vent we saw earlier in the game with Daisuke being stuck in the foam. However, it never got fixed and is still broken and dangerous. We of course do not care, and head downstairs to talk to Swansea about letting us in utility, which, again, he's been guarding through the course of the game. When we get to him, he's very drunk and refuses to let us in. Jimmy then says there's no use talking to him like this and tells Daisuke let's leave. It then skips to around 8 hours until Judgment, with Daisuke on the ground bleeding and in pain. Of course, Jimmy goes off and says, I can fix this, which just angers Swansea, and is told to go find some disinfectant. Entering the medical room, there seems to be a blurred out section in the room where we're just unable to see. Anyways, going downstairs, there's a gravestone that shows a scanner on the top. And also, good to note that it has Daisuke's flower on the grave. After turning on the scanner, the gravestone disappears and a walkway appears behind. After a very long stairwell, we end up with the words, "Be quiet," popping up on the screen. A note in front of us says something about a blind beast and that we are unable to run from it. And here the game decided to remind me that this isn't just a psychological horror game, it is just also your regular horror game too. However, this section just seems to be a little tedious. Every time you move, you end up making a bunch of noise. And this creature starts making its way toward you, which you can see by how much the screen shakes or the box's view to you shakes. You have to wait till it moves away, then move a few more feet before it comes back. Sadly, the place you're supposed to go is pretty far away, and there are even some dead ends. After about 8 to 10 minutes, I finally get to where it seems I'm supposed to go, and for the first time, I get a really good look at what's actually been chasing me. Easy to say, not a fan. Not a fan at all. After grabbing the mouthwash, I am then teleported back in front of Daisuke and able to give him the mouthwash to try to help him. However, at this point, I'm also reminded to what Anya first said when we found the mouthwash, that it had too much sugar to be actually a good disinfectant. We are now a little back in time to 5 months after the crash, which is just right after we left Swansea a few minutes before where he wouldn't let us in the utility. We tell Daisuke we need to knock Swansea out to get his key, and go inside the utility to see if we can use the vent to get inside medical to help Anya and Curly. The plan to knock him out turns out to be making a spiked mocktail. Before making it, however, I find Jimmy's employee badge in the little corner, which just leaves Curly's left to be found. We tell he is spiked with mouthwash and alcohol. We found the extra medical container earlier to knock Swansea out. We quickly make the drink and give it to Swansea, and it turns out to work very quickly because the man basically bounces off the floor seconds after consuming it. Daisuke is concerned about him, but quickly calms him down, reminds him that we have to get to medical. Inside, utility was revealed that there's not a lot of foam down here, as Swansea said there was. Daisuke assumes this means Swansea's been hard at work clearing the foam, but Jimmy thinks that there was never that much foam to begin with. There even is a working cryostasis unit down here, and one of those units are able to keep someone alive for 20 years. Jimmy assumes Swansea's hiding this knowledge so that when everyone else dies, he was going to use it for himself. Then we change our attention back to the vent. Daisuke is very uneasy about going in it, and says multiple times that they should wait for Swansea to wake back up before attempting to go in there. Oh, but don't fucking worry, because here comes Jimmy, here to gaslight the kid into going to the vent regardless. And we know how it ends up. He climbs inside and we hear nothing for a few moments. Before his screams. However, thankfully, he does make it into medical, and you hear him ask this. We are thankfully, seemingly given a break, and we're back to playing as Curly, one day before the crash. However, we have a rowing objective on our screen. We find Anya in the cockpit. Curly demands Anya to give him the gun, and that she doesn't need to hurt herself, saying that he should have thought about the fact that a nurse was never given psych evals, and saying if she was stressed, that all she needed to do was come to him. Anya asks what would he have done if she did, and he says he would have done anything. The crew is his responsibility and he is the captain. Anya says, don't worry, the captain has the code and is the only one that can open the gun case. And then drops this bombshell. God dang it, Jimmy. You know what? Who would you captain? I told you, listen to me. We can fix this. I know him for a long time. I talked to him. I know you never give me a gun to protect myself, so the least I can do is make sure he never gets either. God dang! Anya, fuck! However, it does not get any better. We return to 6 hours before judgment with Swansea crouched down over Daisuke. He starts raising his axe. He tells him to close his eyes and be thankful he would never end up like him before. Jimmy then yells on Swansea and tells him he could have fixed it. And why didn't he just wait? And that we all know about Swansea's plan to use a crowd for himself, which Swansea just laughs and tells him that he was never going to use it for himself. And Jimmy can use it if he wants. And when he's found, he can tell people whatever story he wanted. He earned it. The objective then turns to find the gun. So, first we stop by medical and then find Anya dead. She seems to have taken her life with a bunch of painkillers. The gun case is visible right next to Curly, but it needs a 3-digit code. A code, however, I remember I wrote down near the start of the game, the one from the cockpit. Putting it in gives me another achievement called Taking Notes. However, picking up the gun causes this. That eerie laugh aside, opening up the door causes Swansea to appear at the end of the hall with his axe in his hand, screaming Jimmy's name. Now we skip back to the day of the crash, and we're once again playing as Curly. We find Anya sitting on the ground in medical saying that she told Jimmy that she was pregnant. Which means Curly did nothing when Anya told him yesterday. That aside for now, Curly starts to freak out, asking if Jimmy seemed angry, and then telling Anya that he's going to fix everything and runs downstairs. Jimmy is next to the entrance to the cockpit. Curly starts by saying that he can fix this, but Jimmy says that once they get home, both of their lives are over. And somehow blames Curly for what he did? Which, yes, I get it. Curly is the captain, and he was given more than enough hints to do something before now. But for fucking Jimmy to say this. Suffice to say, I was not happy with this. Anyways, he goes on and says both their lives are over, but not to worry because Jimmy is going to fix it. And instead of their lives being ruined, instead he says, this is his solution. And then, standing at the top, feet in cement. The plus sides, we actually get to see what Curly looks like before the incident. Which then Curly then hears all of this and does nothing. He hears that Jimmy is going to try to kill everyone on board and does nothing. Feet in cement my ass. Jimmy says he's going to take care of it and walks away. Curly then, after a moment and the sirens start going off, he runs to the cockpit, saying to Jimmy, what did he do? And Ed tell him he should have waited, and it doesn't matter. He opens up the doors to go inside, and it's too late. The meteor crashes and hits him head on. We are now 1 hour before judgment. And once again, Jimmy, but with Curly in our arms, as we take him to the main dining area, where Jimmy has brought everyone else to the table. Unfortunately, though, all dead. He lays Curly in the middle of the table. The dead bodies start to talk, and everyone's celebrating. Before we pick up the knife and start cutting off Curly's leg. Then he says, Everyone here forgives Curly for wanting to leave and do other things with his life. The words take responsibility appear and we walk towards medical, where the vent is open with utility keys hanging above it. We walk and fall into the vent. Inside we see Daisuke, who walks away from us before the whole vent turns red. Eventually we then see a note that says no turning back now, which then of course means we then just walk straight backwards until we see another vent, and then backwards from that one, and we do this a few times before finally being teleported to a corridor, which is just another long hallway that leads to, you guessed it, another vent. And at the end of that vent, we find Swansea, tied up with a gun in front of him. We pick it up and fire. This teleports us to a graveyard, where we must now fight Swansea as he runs around with his axe. We do die a few times before getting the hang of it, but we quickly shoot him 3 different times. It then cuts back to Jimmy pointing a gun at Swansea, who then makes a great speech about how his life and how he changed his life around after being drunk for 13 years. Got everything that made a man. Even had kids. But in the end, when he thinks about it now, the best parts of his life was when he was drunk and had no worries. He then says his biggest regret that he wasn't able to save Daisuke, and that's all he wanted to do. Jimmy, of course, fully delusional, says he's going to save everyone, that he's going to make it right. Right before he shoots him. The words "take responsibility" pops up, and we see Swansea's dead body. And we walk down a long hallway until this happens. And then this horrible eyeball hallway. This is a horrible thing that's happening. I don't like the eye tunnel. Can we get out of the eye? Now that I think about it, the eye tunnel, not that bad. Not that bad. I might rather have been in the eye tunnel, I'm not gonna lie. Finally, thankfully, we are out and approach Curly, who is then tied to a chair. Hey, buddy. Okay. I need to click on the cake. Take Curly's leg. Beast. Oh, God. Hey, Curly. And after a moment, we are forced to feed him his leg. He then, of course, throws it up. After a bit of puzzling, we have to turn these valves correctly, and then again force him to eat his own leg. After successfully doing that, we go back to the TV and see that we're on TV, walking towards Curly, who is on fire. He says he wants to go home, and Jimmy tells him he is home, and that don't worry, in the end, they will both be heroes, and Jimmy's gonna fix everything. Once again, the words "take responsibility" comes back. We were shown this. We are then supposed to find the heartbeat of what seems to be a horse. We do this 3 different times. And then this happens. The words from the mouthwashing commercial starts flashing on the screen. But in between each time, the words, "I hope this hurts," appears. And then we are finally thrown into a vent with this. Oh, what the fuck are you? Hi, child. Oh shit! Oh, Jesus Christ, I didn't realize that his body contorted around the fucking thing. So what we're supposed to do here is wait until it sees us and then runs out of its path 3 different times. This takes a moment, but after doing it, we see a bunch of employee cards fly around us, and then they seemingly turn into bottles of mouthwash. We walk up these stairs, and we see the mascot himself, Polly. Hey Polly, it's Polly. We end up talking back and forth with Polly, even to the point where Jimmy says he's going to take responsibility for what he's done, and that he's very sorry to Curly. Yes, I think I fucked up, but I can still make this right. Our worst moments don't make us. Wait a minute, hold on. After this talk with Polly, we appear 0 hours before judgment. With Curly on the table, we pick him up and walk down to the utility room. Then Jimmy puts him on the cryostasis chamber. And once again, our Curly. Sitting there with Jimmy in front of us. He says sorry for all that happened, but don't worry. Because you guessed it, he's going to fix it. And that's it. He walks away. And then a gunshot is heard. End of the day, he died. Still thinking he's the fucking hero of the story. We get the achievement for finished mouthwashing, but that's not the end. We actually have to go back and finish a couple of achievements we missed along the way. The first of these achievements could have been done at any time, and it's just by pressing the tilde key here, this opens up the console. With this, we can go to any chapter and speed past any dialogue and even no clip. We then have to go to chapter 2 where we first met the crew after the crash, speed through the dialogue and go to the medical room. There are 2 achievements here. There's a sticker that says Yimpy. We stare into his eyes for 10 seconds and get the achievement, Yimpy. And then we go to Curly and repeatedly open and close his mouth until we get the achievement Sock Puppet. Now here we also have to go to the cargo hold and open it without getting the scanner to reveal the code. Do this and the achievement Cheater is all ours. Now, this only leaves 4 achievements left, and we finally end this game, which has just traumatized me at this point. Next is going to the chapter where Daisuke is dying, and we need to get mouthwash, and we need to do this in 30 seconds. To do this, we have used the cheats to skip all the dialogue. Turn on this code scanner and then no clip straight down and drop. Then once again, we have to go down the scare rail, and finally just no clip straight pad until you see Polly and finally grab the mouthwash. This took me several tries. Thankfully, that is the hardest achievement left. Now we just have to go to the chapter where we get the gun, and instead of grabbing the gun, first we run down to utility where Curly's employee card is waiting for us. And finally, the last 2 achievements are both in the graveyard with Swansea, and both were fairly easy. First, we just had to do a 360 before shooting him, which can be easily done if you set your mouse sensitivity very high. And then for the last achievement, the good ending is just to die to Swansea 10 times. Which honestly, after everything we've seen, is a great achievement to end on. And that's it. All 18 achievements for mouthwashing. Sorry for just throwing the last 5 like that, but I didn't really know how else to present them. I know I don't show them all popping up, and that's because for some reason a few achievements had a very big delay, or like the % run achievement that just didn't pop until I restarted the game, which is just weird. Anyways, Mouthwashing is a great game and also probably one of my favorite games this year. But also, fuck this game. The absolute worst game of the year, and how dare it makes me play the world's worst fucking person. The most unredeemable piece of shit. Fuck Hurley too. I mean, he didn't deserve what happened to him. But still fuck him for doing nothing. Nothing when Anya told him what Jimmy did, and nothing when Jimmy said he was going to kill everyone on the ship. But that's it. This game has honestly fucked me up a little bit. But I hope you enjoyed this video and hope you have a good day. Goodbye.